Welcome to the final seminar of World Travel Market 2019. Congratulations, you've made it. And not only is it the last session of the show, I think it's probably going to be the best seminar of the show. This is our 5th year of presenting the best social media project, campaign of the year. It's exhaustive research done by an army of people. That's myself and Mark, Travel Perspective. We invite people to come along to present because we think their work is particularly fantastic. And the whole idea of this session, apart from having a winner, which is worthy, is to help you understand what the thinking is in the tourism industry around the world of how to use social media, what sort of project you can think about doing, and see different sorts of budgets that are applied to those projects which could possibly suit your own ideas. So this year we have 4 finalists who are going to present. It's normally 6, but we have a couple who eventually couldn't attend the show, so couldn't present in person. So I am going to show their videos to see what you're missing, see what they're missing. And then we'll have the 4 people coming up to the stage to present for 5 minutes. The finalists are Instafriendly Maps of Uist in Scotland from Caledonian McBrain and Outer Hebrides Tourism, Pure Sounds of Michigan for Michigan State Tourism in the US, Get NZ on the Map, Tourism New Zealand, and Portugal Says Brelcome from the Portuguese National Tourist Office. As I said, this is our 5th year of presenting what we call the Awfully Entertaining Social Media Awards, which of course is an acronym for Awesomes. In 2015 it was Iceland with the Ask Gudmundur campaign. 2016 Visit Finland with Polar Night Magic. Staying in the theme of the North Atlantic and Scandies is the Faroe Islands in 2017 with its Translate project. And in 2018, last year, the award came home and Historic Royal Palaces won the title for its innovative Berlin is Back campaign at the Tower of London. So what has 2019 brought and who will the judges be to choose the crown this year? I'm delighted to say I have 3 outstanding stalwarts of the tourism editorial industry. On my immediate side is Jennifer Howes. I worked with at Times Online back in the day when we had newspapers and journalists, a long time ago. I'm Steve, I'm a recovering print journalist. Jen's worked with me for years. She founded Brit Mums, which is the biggest collective of parent bloggers in the UK. She also writes Genography, which is her own blog. In the middle we have Cash, a mucker from 2011, those early blogger meets down in the centre of London when we all tried to work out what on earth was happening to the world of media. Cash is the budget traveller. He is an outstanding blogger, and if you want to know anything about what's going on, Cash is always the person to speak to, in my opinion. Fiona Quinn is, in fact we all go back to about 2011 really, when Fiona was at Frommers. She then moved eventually into Google, which are all massively impressive that we knew somebody who worked at Google at the time. Fiona eventually ran a team of 150 content creators for Google. And that's quite something when you realize the scope of what was then being created worldwide for Google. Fiona's now just set up her own agency. Well, she set up an agency called Fiona, remind me?
Heaven Hub.
Heaven Hub. It's a new digital arm of PR firm, Heaven Publicity. So these are our 3 judges today. You'll be pleased to know that you are going to get a vote as well. We are going to have a poll at the end using slido.com, #WTM19. Don't worry, you don't need to think about it too much now. You don't need to download this app, you don't need to do anything. Just go to slido.com, put in the #WTM19. At the end, we'll have the 4 titles and you get to vote. And we'll see the slide graphs going. It'll be like Newsnight, election night. You can see who you're voting for. We'll put the judges' votes together with your vote and come up with a winner. He'll get a bottle of champagne, massive applause from you all. They'll get to say a few words and they'll get a trophy in due course. So, to start things off, as I mentioned, there are 2 projects we'd like to have had presenting today. They're both unable to be at London for this World Travel Market. But the first one was a comprehensive campaign from the Vienna tourist board that challenged social media users to put down their phones and absorb what they were actually looking at. The subject in this case was Klimt's The Kiss, a painting on display in the city. A copy was put on display with a giant red hashtag in front of it. And then the original could be seen somewhere else in the gallery without the hashtag, just challenging you to look at something, absorb without thinking, hashtagging. The campaign was called Unhashtag Vienna, and the secondary catchline was See Vienna, not hashtag See Vienna. And here it is.
If I traveled without my phone, I would definitely be able to enjoy my surroundings a lot more.
Halt abhaken, Foto gemacht, nächster Punkt, Foto gemacht, nächster Punkt.
Noch eine Nachricht, bei denen vielen wohl der Selfie-Stick aus der Hand fällt. Der Wien-Tourismus ruft in seiner neuen Kampagne nämlich dazu auf, weniger zu fotografieren und mehr zu erleben.
Photos, videos, and posts for the online community are an integral part of any trip away. But instead of consciously savoring that special moment and the surroundings, everything is simply captured by smartphone. The Vienna Tourist Board launched Unhashtag Vienna, an initiative to encourage visitors to see the city and its highlights, not just through the lens of a smartphone camera, symbolized by a large red hashtag that covered Gustav Klimt's world-famous painting, The Kiss, in the Viennese Belvedere. Out-of-home advertising in Berlin, Hamburg, and London, print and social media ads, and a purpose-built landing page also helped users to look at their own habits through fresh eyes. In May 2019, the polarizing campaign was taken to exactly where sharing, posting, and hashtagging originated from, to Silicon Valley and into the center of New York City. Right on the doorstep of the largest global IT giants and opinion leaders. Strategically placed installations and street activations in front of Google and the New York Times brought the campaign straight to the heart of the Big Apple. The entire subway station next to Google's headquarters on 14th Street was fully branded with our message featuring the striking red hashtag. But Unhashtag Vienna did not stop at America's East Coast, but brought the call for digital detox to Silicon Valley, directly to the epicenter of the social media and IT world. A truck with huge LED billboards toured through the neighborhoods of the web's titans and stopped in front of all the important digital global players such as Facebook, Instagram, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, and Yahoo. Additionally, we invited international influencers to Vienna for a digital detox. They in turn offered enjoyable tips to their followers for more conscious traveling. Austrian and international media used the initiative to start a discussion about the impact of smartphones on holidaymakers and destinations.
So this is an interesting campaign that you spotted and called Unhashtag Vienna.
Look, I know it's marketing, but I quite like it.
And social media users joined in, talking passionately about their ideal vacation using, of all things, the unhashtag hashtag.
It definitely makes me want to go to Vienna more.
Welcome to Vienna, not hashtag Vienna.
Okay, sorry, back. I think you'll agree that's a very impressive campaign, the social media campaign. But it's an integrated campaign. The original thought was there, let's challenge social media, let's use it, make you look at something in the round again. It's not new. Hashtag free weekends are becoming quite the vogue. But what I did like is they followed it up with taking the message to Silicon Valley, New York. They brought in the bloggers to get their perspective and the social media as well. But the point about today is not about who's got most money to do the most complicated campaign. It can be small, effective. It can also be incredibly integrated like that. And as a option, or as a mirror image, if you like, of a big campaign like that, I'd like to show you a second one from the Faroe Islands as well. The Faroes, as I mentioned earlier, won this campaign back in 2017 with the Translate project. Anybody remember the Translate project? Now, we've got a couple of hands there. There's probably a few more that don't remember it, but you will do. The Translate project was a website that visitors could use to learn the language because Google didn't have Ferries in its Translate program. They helped people to understand the language by getting them to go to their website, and Faroese residents would respond to them and explain how the language is being used. In 2018, the Faroes followed up with a Meet Our Sheep campaign, again having a pop at Google because they weren't on the street view in the Faroe Islands. So they attached 360-degree cameras to some sheep, took them off around the island, put the results into a website, and showed you the Faroe Islands from the sheep's backside's perspective. Good for them. They're quick. There's a small community desperate to make a noise on the map. They don't have big budgets whatsoever, but they've been effective in doing campaigns that resonate with people and also don't, hopefully, bring too much tourism and to impact on the environment itself. So what they did this year, where are we? 1 April weekend, the Faroes announced it would be closed to visitors. There would be no hotels open, there would be nothing to pick you up at the airport. It was a marketing campaign, but one amplified by now established social media channels. They've built up those followers over the last 2 or 3 years, and they launched their own separate website again for that project called preservethefaroeislands.com. And enjoy this.
Far north lie 18 small islands called the Faroe Islands, isolated by the North Atlantic Ocean. Green mountains and plunging waterfalls, unspoiled and unexplored. But in a world where more and more tourists search for novelties, how can the islands remain unspoiled by tourism? The islanders have found a solution.
On behalf of the Faroese government, I hereby declare the Faroe Islands closed for maintenance and open for volunteerism during the last weekend of April. During the weekend, all sites and attractions will be closed for regular tourists. However, we invite volunteers from abroad to lend us a helping hand by working side by side with locals, maintaining walking trails, fences and viewpoints to preserve our beautiful nature. In return, the Faroe Islands will provide free food and stay for everyone who helps out. I hope to see as many as possible on the last weekend of April. Thank you.
Sign up at preservefaroeislands.com.
There you go, lovely. Complete counterpoint to what we saw from Vienna. But simple, clear message. They want to look after these pristine, wet rocks in the North Atlantic. They want to make sure they preserve what they have to keep the infrastructure built up, get the volunteers involved, and 150 volunteers did go to the islands to help out, but also just market themselves again for this summer. So those are the two examples we would have invited to present today that weren't able to make it, but I hope you enjoyed those. You won't be voting on these. You'll be voting on the next 4 presentations. So the format is we're going to invite somebody from each of these destinations to come up and present for 5 minutes. Our 3 judges are going to have the opportunity to ask them questions. Take note yourselves of who you like the most, because you will be voting on this later. We'll also put the mics out at the end of the 4 presentations to ask some of you why you voted for particular projects. The judges will come back, we'll put the points together, and we'll have a winner. So, first up, I'd like to invite today, I'll tell you a little bit about it. Before, the first one we got up is Instafriendly Maps of Uist, which is in the Hebrides off northwest coast of Scotland. Hang on a sec, Andrew. I'll just give a bit of a lead into this. So 2 maps were developed this summer for North and South Uist, islands in the Outer Hebrides off the west coast of Scotland. Not only proper maps in waterproof fabrics, but Insta-friendly maps that highlight 20 of the island's beauty spots and stories. It's a joint venture between the Scottish Island ferry operator Calmac and the Outer Hebrides Tourism. And I'd like to invite Andrew Macnair, Head of Marketing at Calmac, to present to us today. Please give him a round of applause.
Good afternoon, everybody. May I say that was a wonderful synopsis of my presentation. To explain, Calmac is the official name of the ferry company, which runs ferries on behalf of the Scottish Government across the west coast of Scotland. We carry about 5 million passengers a year, and we serve 30 destinations. One of our major destinations is the Outer Hebrides. Some of you may be familiar with Harris Tweed. Harris is one of the islands in the Outer Hebrides. Some of you may know about Lewis, but I'm sure very few of you have heard about the Uists, U-I-S-T-S. These are two islands, North and South Uist, located halfway down the Hebridean archipelago. They have a population of about 5,000 people, and they encapsulate some of the most wonderful scenery in Scotland. We have wonderful sandy beaches that face onto the Atlantic, wonderful vistas. We also, in the Uists, are really at the forefront of the Gaelic culture, the Gaelic language. And about 60% of the population, their first language is Gaelic. And that's obviously something which we're very proud to preserve. The challenge we had was people tend to travel up and down the archipelago of the Outer Hebrides, but not actually stop in the Uists. So we thought, well, how do we literally get the Uists onto the map? So we started to have a think about how we might do this. So we realised that there was a huge potential out there amongst millennials to really promote this attraction. We thought, well, these days everybody's talking about Instagrams, hashtags, it's the in thing. So how can we use this as an easy and impactful way to promote the destination? Mindful of the fact we had very, very limited budgets. So we thought, okay, let's run, first of all, an Instagram campaign and generate some content. So what we did was, we felt it was very important to include the local community, people that lived in the islands, businesses, as well as visitors, and ask them to generate content for us about the places and the vistas that they thought were the most interesting and beautiful on the islands. So we gathered a huge amount of content, and then from that, we decided to look at the key ones that we thought were most impactful in terms of attracting visitors. So this is where the map bit came in. So we thought, right, let's do something that's really going to stick out here. We contacted a group of people that used to work for Ordnance Survey, who some of you will know are people who produce maps on behalf of the British government. And they produce very, very detailed maps. So these people had the expertise in map making. And what we went to them and said, we want to do something a bit different here. So having selected our top destinations, we pinned them on the map, and we created our own special symbol to identify where these Instagram shop places are that people should go and visit. We then, having taken the idea of the design of the map, created from fabric maps that can be used in any weather circumstance. Given that you have up to 2,000 millimetres of rain on the west coast of Scotland every year, probably not a bad idea. You can see them in the middle there, the examples. They're very easy to carry, very practical. We had a limited edition of these manufactured, and what we did was to sell them through outlets on the islands, with the proviso that all the profits that were made from the sales were donated to the Royal National Lifeboat Institute, which is a very, very vital charity working around the coastal waters of Scotland and the rest of the UK. Having done this, and concurrently with this, we then started putting out some proactive PR messages. And I have to say the response was absolutely phenomenal in Scotland, in the rest of the UK, and even worldwide. In terms of the results, Outer Hebrides Tourism reported that they had a 1,582% increase in followers on Instagram. We had a 43% increase of followers through Outer Hebrides Tourism on Twitter. We had 650,000 organic social reach, and media coverage reach of about 10 million. And that was through 26 publications locally, in Scotland, the rest of the United Kingdom, and also worldwide. So, what's next? what we've learned from this was a couple of very important things. It's easy to do something with minimal funds if you've got a creative idea. That's point one. I think the second point is involving the local community, getting them involved in creating the content was a really great thing. It had a great impact. And thirdly, it was a really successful way for us as a transport carrier to work with local destinations and local businesses in ways where we could tie things together and work as a team. So having done this campaign very successfully, I'm now going to use this and implement it with other destinations and communities across the west coast of Scotland in the coming years. So thank you very much, and we do hope very much to hashtag see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Andrew, just stay there. Stay there for a second. Quick question for me. You say 1,582% increase on Instagram. Can you give us an idea from what base that was?
I don't have the exact figure, albeit it would have been relatively small. Okay. But I think that it's the actual level of the impact which is the important thing.
And another quick one for me. You mentioned bringing the community together, businesses.
Yeah.
That must have been important for you as well. So you've got that platform to work from in the future.
Absolutely. A bit of background to that was, unfortunately, when you run ferries, you have disruption because of weather or sometimes mechanical failure. And there had been, in 2017, over the Easter period, some disruption on the network. So in 2017, there had been disruption on the network, which meant that services to the Uist were disrupted. And local businesses felt because of that, they'd lost out in terms of visitors coming. So we had an obligation really to try and put that right. And so this was really part of the reason we did this campaign. But yes, getting local people involved was very, very important.
Okay.
And tourism is very, very important for these islands.
Indeed, thank you. Judges, who would like to ask a first question?
I lived in Scotland for 10 years, but on the sunnier east coast. I know how much the weather can be a big role in enjoying holiday in Scotland and managing expectations. And obviously, as somebody who creates a lot of content and uses Instagram for my work, the reality versus the actual picture that you paint sometimes can be very difficult. So it was a big risk you took, because as more and more destinations are kind of slightly shying away from Instagram and they're scared about overcrowding these beautiful remote locations. Was this something that a lot of the locals maybe were a little worried that you're giving away these hidden gems? And
that wasn't our experience. I think I'd qualify that slightly insofar as the Outer Hebrides are wonderful islands. But inevitably they are something of a niche market. It's not a mass tourism market. It can't be, because it doesn't have the infrastructure in the islands to do that. So I wouldn't say, I think what we were mindful of was actually promoting a destination and doing it in a different way and really trying to literally put it on the map, as you've seen, as we've done. On the point of weather, my personal view is the weather in Scotland is changeable. It doesn't affect what people expect that, and they actually quite like it at times. And it can literally change in a day, but it can also be absolutely beautiful. So
4 seasons in one day.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how long did the campaign, I missed that bit, how long did the campaign run for, and what was the impact? Just, I mean, we can see that on social media, but how did you actually bring people? Did it actually make a difference?
Right. We ran the campaign over several months. We started in the springtime and ran it through over the summer months. In terms of the measuring the impact, what we can do and will do next year is get feedback from obviously accommodation providers in the islands to see if they've had an increase in number of visits. We can also track in quite detailed ways the actual volume of passengers that we carry on our ferries, and we can identify to a large extent using segmentation where they're coming from. So there are ways that we can track it, certainly going forward.
Okay.
My question is, so you created this campaign around Instagram. Who actually runs the Instagram for the account? And then what have you done to draw out or kind of continue those gains and create more of an Instagram presence?
It was actually Outer Hebrides Tourism who actually managed, if you like, the mechanics behind it. And I think what we learned from this, I alluded to the fact that are going to use this model and replicate this with other destinations across the network, but specifically with the Outer Hebrides, what we're looking to do, I'm giving away state secrets here, but what we're looking to do next year is expand on the theme, focusing away from the Uists. There are also a number of very small islands in the Outer Hebrides which don't get much attention but have fascinating stories to tell, and we'd like to try and bring them into the fold as well. So certainly the work will continue and there'll be a momentum going forward.
Okay. Andrew, please put your hands together for Andrew from Calmac Ferries. Thank you. Okay, next up. Next up we have The Purest Sounds of Michigan. It's a music-based campaign to capture a dawn to dusk record of nature in this Great Lakes state, set to music composed by 10 of Michigan's museums. Ambient soundtracks, soundscape tracks available on Spotify, Apple, Google, Soundcloud, and marks 100 years of the state's national parks. So I'm delighted to welcome Kelly Wolgamott, who is the Director of Travel Marketing for Michigan State Tourism, to explain more. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to talk to you today about the Pure Sounds album of Pure Michigan, but I want to give you just a snapshot. If you're not familiar with Michigan, where we're located, we're in the Midwest of the United States, and we are blessed with the unspoiled natural resources that surround our state. And we also have a lot of great urban destinations. The Great Lakes shelter for the 5 Great Lakes are in Michigan. We have 11,000 lakes in the state. We have a 3,000-mile coastline of fresh water. So it's truly abundant of natural resources, and again provides the opportunity for people to enjoy the city experiences of Detroit or Grand Rapids, or enjoy a very remote trail. Oops. So the opportunity for us is we have a Pure Michigan campaign in Michigan, and we visually highlight what you can experience in the state when you come, the beautiful, majestic, authentic destinations. So every world travel destination does that same thing. We're always highlighting those images. So we wanted to do something unique and really tap into what, when people come to Michigan, what they would experience, what would they hear in Michigan when they came for their vacation. So that was really the whole essence of the development of the Pure Michigan album. And we knew that with a campaign like Pure Michigan, because Michigan is so pure as a destination, we really felt that it was a great opportunity to showcase what you can do in the state. And as to the quote says, we need to stop interrupting what people are interested in and be what people are interested in. So we wanted to be in that experience that people can experience in the state of Michigan. So the project is the Pure Michigan album, and I do have a sample here with me, is a soothing compilation of the listeners take from a sunrise to sunset tour from the state, from coast to coast, as interpreted by some of Michigan's most talented musicians. It was organically inspired. The album is composed using signature ambient sounds of nature captured from 10 Michigan state parks throughout the peninsulas. We also highlighted this via campaign on Amazon Music, Spotify, Soundcloud, Apple Music, and Google. So to capture the sounds, we also partnered and connected with our Michigan State Parks. They were 100th anniversary last year, so we went out to all the various state parks, as highlighted on this map, to capture some of those sounds. What's it like to sit by a stream in Michigan? What's it like to sit by a campfire? What's it like to sit by the waves? And we took all of those sounds and provided them to Michigan musicians, and they were able to complete their own compositions based on those sounds, and that's how the album was developed. And I have a short video to share with you to give you a little sneak peek of how we captured those sounds. campaign, we also created a dynamic landing page on Michigan.org, which is the Pure Michigan website, Pure Sound. So, and on the banner campaign, we were able to drive individuals directly to that landing page to get more information on where they could download the music and how they could actually engage with the campaign. So as far as the campaign results, our flight was a 4-month flight, and we were national, so nationally in the U.S. And our primary key performance index was click-through rate. We wanted people to click on our banner ads to get exposed to the campaign and then go perhaps to Spotify to download the music. Our goal and intention was never to keep them on our website, but we want them to engage with the music and download it. The campaign delivered over 4.2 million impressions, along with over 10,000 clicks, and generated a click-through rate of 0.25%, which is 40% higher than industry average for audio click-through rate. Of the three, Spotify, Pandora, and Soundcloud that we had a media buy with, Soundcloud did rise to the occasion overall, but you can see that Spotify with 50% of the budget. And these are just samples creative, what it looked like when you went the digital ad in these three channels. So social by the number. Social was obviously very important, a part of this campaign. We had 1.4 million impressions. We had 16,000 unique visitors to the Pure Michigan landing page, 10,000 clicks back to the site if they went to Spotify or Pandora, and we had over 300,000 views of our video behind the scenes of the Pure Michigan album. These are just samples from social that we posted and trying to engage not only our fan base, but others who may not be familiar with Michigan. Organic social, you can see based on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Instagram by far outperformed from the social media standpoint with over 700,000 total reach for the campaign. And these are just some of the snapshots of what people were saying. We have Billboard highlighted us, A-List, so just some of the additional media out there and what they're saying about the campaign. So from the media, traditional media, we had 194 stories. We had 59 unique corresponding social posts, over 13 million potential impressions across traditional and social, and we had over 300,000 total plays and downloads. One thing that was a goal for us, but we weren't quite certain if we could reach it, was to make the Billboard. So we were number 9 as the top new age album. So that was pretty unique, you know, being the only travel destination to come out with an album, and then we actually made the Billboard. So we were very happy with that. And then again, some additional press out there from Billboard, MLive, Music, A-List. We also had quite a bit TV coverage as well on the campaign and supporting what we were doing. So we also looked for some unique partnerships. How can we expand from a social standpoint and get into where we know people love music? So Detroit, our largest city in the state, has a 20-plus year concert. It's called the Movement Electronic Music Festival. And it's a techno festival. So we sponsored the media tent within that. And we were on the Movement app as well, so we could actually ping people with promotions about the Pure Michigan Sound album. We had over 28,000 impressions, 100,000 people attend the event, and we exposed the album to 225 registered media. It was a great outlet, especially for the music. Shinola is a watchmaker, and there's 2 stores here in London, but they're headquartered in Detroit. They also make watches, they make turntables. So we thought it would be a great extension. They have a hotel in Detroit to give them samples of the album so that they can leave it in the rooms that have the turntables. So just, again, another great extension, touch point for the album in partnering with the Michigan company. So looking forward, we want to continue to capitalize on moments in time and trending topics on social media, promote the album on social through all seasons. We're a 4-season destination, so it's a great opportunity to continue to promote the album. We want to surprise and delight fans on social with Pure Michigan Vinyl and explore other opportunities like spas and wellness centers, even airlines for in-flight music options. We think that would be a great fit. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. If you can stay at the lecture and stay close to those mics.
Yep.
And please, panel, if you'd like to go. Jen?
Yes. Yes, very interesting. Sounds very calming.
Yes.
So you talked a lot about the kind of paid media you did, or the paid programs. What about working with influencers or encouraging people to record their own sounds? Was that an element of it?
No, we did work with influencers. We did tap into, we call them Michigan alumnus, so some key celebrities that are from Michigan, and we did send them an album as well as information digitally so they could download if they were on Spotify. So we did tap into the influencer market.
It's crazy that we live in an era of where everybody gets on stage and talks about visual storytelling and video, and you guys went the other way and looked at audio, which is quite a ballsy move, and you're the only travel destination I know that has launched electronic music album.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get this idea? I'm just curious to know how you approached it.
Well, you know, the campaign Pure Michigan has been around for 13 years, and we were really thinking of what can we do, again, because we show everything that we do visually, what can we do to let people know what it's like to be on one of our trails and experience it? And we really felt with the music scene that we have also in Michigan that it was a good pairing. Honestly, this was like 2 years in the making, developing this campaign, making certain that, you know, an album was the right path to go. But we felt very strongly with our four-season destination, just really blessed with our unspoiled nature, that we could communicate what it's like to be in Pure Michigan from an album.
Yeah, I think it's really innovative. What I wanted to know was how you kind of got the advocacy of people in Michigan itself rather than just celebrities. How did they engage with it? Did they enjoy what you produced and feel like it represented everything?
I don't know if any of the celebrities specifically engaged with the album that we contributed to. The album was just out this year, but I know that we will continue to engage with them to try to get them to continue to promote it. That's really difficult, you know, to get into that the influencer realm with the celebrities and trying to get them to move it. But we're looking for opportunities and how we can do that.
Okay. And just from my point of view, not a question, but I'll just endorse what Cash said. What we liked about this particularly is that innovation. It's a podcast in effect, but you've got a product which you created, which I hope will give a lot of people ideas here about how to use audio and sound and music, as well as the established channels. So please put your hands together for Kelly. Thank you. Okay, next up, New Zealand, who are one of the heavyweights of social media usage in travel and tourism, have always done a brilliant job. And this year they drafted in their Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, pop star Ed Sheeran, some of you may have heard of, and comedian Rhys Darby, in a tongue-in-cheek campaign looking at why the country was, as they say, constantly omitted from maps. And today, to tell us more about it, we have Carol Tredrea, who is the project manager for this in New Zealand. Please put your hands together for Carol.
Kia ora, hello. My name is Carol and I am from Tourism New Zealand, and yeah, I was the project manager for Get New Zealand on the map. Oh, are we gonna? So first of all, this is how the idea of this campaign was conceptualized. So our CEO, Stephen England Hall, was in San Francisco on a work trip and was in Starbucks and noticed a little omission on the map here that we were being left off world map. So as a tourism board, as you can imagine, relatively tough when you're being left off the world map and you're trying to sell your destination. We knew this wasn't a new phenomenon. There's a Reddit group with nearly 100,000 followers that constantly uploads examples since they talk about their outrage about how we're being left off world maps all over the world. So we decided, right, we need to do something. This is an idea from truth. We can really have some traction here. So we enlisted the help of a couple of our dear friends, our fearless leader, the Right Honourable Jacinda Ardern, and Rhys Darby from the Flight of the Conchords. So we showed them the script, they loved it, they got on board, and we pushed out a video. And this is just a really good summary of how it went for us, and how it was a good idea.
New Zealand is disappearing off world maps. Disappearing. It's all over the internet. What?
New Zealanders are complaining about being left off maps. There's even a Reddit group devoted to it.
Apparently off maps all the time. The Game of Risk, Starbucks, even the Smithsonian, Saturday Night Live.
A new tourism campaign is aiming to crack the mystery of whether the country is deliberately being left on world maps.
New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern makes a cameo in this commercial for the country, which has even had a dig at Australia.
Your Majesty, this is a major conspiracy. I'm going to get behind it.
I'm sure there is a reasonable explanation.
New Zealand, where the bloody hell are you? Australia. They're stealing our tourists. I've boiled it down to a few things. Australia want our tourists, England want to get rid of the All Blacks, and the wine industry, they can't beat our Pinot or Sav. Sneaky Frenchies.
Chris, you might be onto something, but we're going to need some help.
This is big. Bigger than we thought. Bigger than the moon landing and Loch Ness combined. Which, by the way, is one of my theories, that those things are combined.
Which begs the question, where do these airports think flights to New Zealand are going?
It's terrific, isn't it?
It's really good. But this is a thing. They've used something that's actually a benefit.
Herzlichen Glückwunsch.
What is it about New Zealand tourism? Who's behind their ads? Can we get them to do our tourism ads? Because they're always good.
So, that's like a nice summary of the success that we had. But the thing was this, that we wanted to leverage a story that was true. So we were already gaining the momentum from a story, and we wanted to say, okay, how do we do this? So we came up with the idea that we created a conspiracy. We had quite a robust conversation internally as to whether or not we brand the content. Do we own this? And the decision was made, quite a controversial decision for us as an organisation, was to go out with this content unbranded and seed it organically on both Rhys and Jacinda's channels. So we didn't own it. And so what that enabled us to do was really, really foster social advocacy and UGC that was authentic. You know, people were talking about their own experience of seeing New Zealand left off the world map, or talking about the fact that they had been to New Zealand and it does exist and it's amazing. So for us, this was a really great way to sort of highlight something that was true. The problem was we needed to solve the conspiracy, and we needed to finish telling the story, because we had generated from a very small budget and what we thought was something that might just go, you know, a little bit successful, but went gangbusters. So we'd kind of given ourselves the task of, a follow-up album to the greatest hits, basically. So what we did was enlisted the help of another couple of friendly faces, Ed Sheeran and Sir Peter Jackson. Again, both did it for free, loved the script, and said, we're in. In our European markets, the video outperformed in terms of reach and engagement. So we chose to do kind of wave 2 of the campaign and target our European market with barriers when it comes to travel. So in these markets, 80% of people that book a holiday to New Zealand use a traditional travel agent. So for us, Middle Earth is incredibly important. 1 in 3 people that come to New Zealand still cite it as one of the main reasons that they are driven to to come. It's the #1 search term on our consumer website, newzealand.com. So we enlisted the help of Sir Peter Jackson himself and got the original cartographer of the Lord of the Rings to create the Middle-earth map. And as you can see, New Zealand is there in the middle, right where it belongs. So Wave 2 was a fully integrated trade, PR and marketing campaign where we enabled the trade to sort of sell New Zealand, show the flight routes, show how they can get here with a bespoke set of assets that was true. It rang true to the original concept, and they loved it because they'd never had anything like that before, and they were engaged and they were passionate. So it was incredibly successful for us. And if there was one big takeout from this, we, for the first time ever at Tourism New Zealand, were able to shift our #1 barrier for this market, which is the perception of the flight time to get here. So it's something that we really struggle to shift. We're not the easiest destination in terms of perception for people, and for the first time ever, we were able to shift that from #1 to #2. So that was a huge success for us, above and all. And just a little bit of a summary here in terms of some numbers for the second round of campaign, where we did actually put spend behind it. So really interesting to note, our first video was completely organic. We put no media spend behind it whatsoever. And then you'll notice as well from a socials perspective, it performed very well, but also from an earned media perspective and generating international media exposure, it also performed well. So these results here are specific to the second video, which obviously didn't have time to show you today, but go and check it out if you want to check it out. And these are our paid results.
Thank you very much. Very interesting about the unbranded. I remember Cornwall in the UK did this about 4 years ago. Stopped putting Visit Cornwall over everything. Just produced a film out there so anybody could use it, and just you're more inclined to rather be sold something. Is that something you'll think you'll do in the future then? Not brand Tourism New Zealand, but put stories out there into the marketplace? Yeah, it's a really interesting point because as you can imagine, for Tourism New Zealand, this was quite a risk for us. So historically, our content is very landscape orientated, and we weave into that our people. So this tongue-in-cheek campaign, it really sort of steered away from our normal tone of voice. And also wasn't branded. So with our normal brand activity, we'll probably continue to brand that because our brand is very powerful. But what we learnt in the earned media space is that sometimes with the right message and the right tone of voice on social, if you're wanting to generate advocacy, then it can work really well. So I think it's about selecting when it's right. More options. Yeah. Okay, go on. Fiona.
No, I mean, I think it's great. Sometimes we were talking about yesterday, poking fun. It obviously works quite well. And obviously the campaign was successful, but what surprise learnings did you get from any outcomes there? Yeah, to be honest, probably that we pulled it off the first time round. It was one of those things where we were sitting around, Stephen texted us, our CEO, and said, hey guys, we need to do something with this. And at the time, there'd been some media coverage from the BBC and people had been talking about it. And we were given this directive that, okay, now you need to do something. And we were sitting around a table, we came up with this idea, and we thought, oh, it would be great to get Jacinda on board. And, you know, New Zealand being the small place it is, we kind of called someone who knew Jacinda and roped her in. So I think getting the star power was really important to us, and the authentic star power, the right people to be included. But yeah, I think what surprised us initially, to be very honest, was the success of the first video. We did take a risk in terms of our brand. It was quite, I guess for lack of better words, off-brand in terms of what we would normally push out, but it was a risk that was worth taking. Good.
Tourism and politicians are notoriously risk-averse, so it's quite inspiring and really heartening to see your Prime Minister put her reputation on the line and go out and put her name to the campaign. So I just was very curious. I was going to ask you how you managed to convince her But it seems like in New Zealand, you just ask a friend of a friend and everything gets done.
Yeah, not even joking, that's kind of what it's like. But no, it's in all seriousness, we went through the right channels. I think the thing is, our brand integrity is I like to feel relatively good. We briefed her really well on what we were intending to do. She really believed. I think the other success of this campaign is that the people that we got involved, there was this real sense of, yes, we do need to be on the map. You know, Jacinda is incredibly proud of New Zealand, and she very much felt that people needed to know we were on the map. So I think it comes from that idea of truth. If there's a truth to something and you can tell the story genuinely and authentically, then it's relatively risk averse. I mean, I guess the biggest risk would have been that people didn't really like it and it wasn't really shared. So yeah, she was definitely on board.
Yes, I think I love how witty this campaign is, and that it deputizes basically anybody to go out on this treasure hunt or, to solve this mystery. I also like that when it recast it as this conspiracy, that then narratively the next step was solving the conspiracy. I think some folks might have been content with the kind of witty, funny front end without the second bit. How long did it take? How long was the campaign, and how long did it take to come together?
Yeah, good question as well. So from when we came up with the idea, we filmed the video in 2 weeks and we pushed it out. So that was in May 2018. And then we kind of reaped the rewards of the success over the few months after that. And then 3 months later, so we created the second video, went live in October 2018. So 6 months after the first release. We thought that was a good amount of time for people to be like, oh, are they going to solve it? What's going to happen? And then, of course, it was a slightly different campaign in the sense that we went out with the video, the PR video. Again, it generated a lot of PR coverage and earned media, which was great. But we also had that focus on, okay, we really need to get people moving down the funnel. Those dreamers, we need to get them into planning, we need to get them into booking. And then we ran the campaign for 3 months in the paid space over the peak booking period time for the UK and Germany.
Carol, thank you very much indeed. A very interesting presentation. 3 quite diverse projects, I'm sure you'll all agree. Each fascinating in the way they approached their target market. Our 4th entry today is from Portugal. And with Britain, the biggest market for tourism in Portugal, the country has moved fast to counter Brexit challenges. Videos and social media reached 6 million Britons this year, emphasizing the two countries' ties and history and emotionally encouraging people to visit Portugal, while also putting in practical measures like dedicated fast-track lanes in the Algarve and Madeira airports. To hear more, I am very, very pleased that we have today Claudia Miguel, who is the Investment and Tourism Project Manager at the Portuguese National Tourist Office in London. Claudia.
Thank you. Brexit is still today the word of the day, in the tourism business also, and with all the concerns, the uncertainty that we have every day, what's going to happen, will I be able to travel, do I need to change my passport, the tension that it causes in the families, in the sector, in the travel industry, in the business. However, in Portugal, we believe that sometimes is really in the uncertain times and in the most difficult times that we can improve, that we can innovate, and we can transform Brexit into Brelcome. So with this, we wanted to join the word Brexit to the main objective of Portugal as our objective as a tourism office, as Portugal in general, which is to welcome the tourist the British, the traveler all over the world who visit us. And this is our manifesto.
Dear Britons, life is about uncertainty. No one knows what tomorrow brings until tomorrow rises. That's just the way it is. But what we do know is that whatever happens in the future, nothing will break us apart. We are part of each other's history. Together, we shaped the course of the world. Let's not forget, we have the oldest prevailing alliance that any country has ever known. Like the port wine, the older, the better. Your sense of humor and zest for life will forever be part of the sand of our beaches, our golf courses, our wine cellars, our music festivals. Brexit may be the word of the day, but from us, you will always be hearing Brelcome. Portugal will never leave you.
So this sums up the message that we wanted to pass to this market. So also this was the first time the Visit Portugal, I think I can sum up that way, it's easier, did a particular campaign to specific public-specific market. So as Steve was saying, the UK is still the #1 market to Portugal, and this was the first time having this uncertain moment that we would like to transform this into a positive message. So our flavors will never leave you, our sand will never leave you, our waves, our sunsets will never leave you. So these are also part of the campaign, the visuals that we have created, and also some of the visuals created in Instagram. So the Nothing Will Break Us Apart, the wine cellars, so anything related to most of the visits that are done from the UK traveler into Portugal. So there were many reactions. We were very, very pleased, not only from travel companies, but also even from Portugal. And I must say that sometimes we do complain, even Portuguese nationals, but this campaign was also very well received between ourselves. And we had also a very nice comment from Scotland, who gathered, so they managed to get our Brelcome and pass also a message that Scotland was also never leaving any tourist in the world. But so we received, like you can read, a message from Scotland is now via Twitter, replying to our Brelcome campaign, and of course we answer, we love you too. So this was one of the funniest moments. The travel trade, we received many comments and also some phone calls to our offices that many people decided their holidays when they watched this video, the manifesto and the campaign that Visit Portugal did especially for this market. So the results around, so between March and September, 20 million total reach. The manifesto more than 18 million ad impressions, and the total investment from us was 350,000 euros. So our light will never leave you, Portugal will never leave you. So like I said, in brief words, our aim was to try to pass a word and a positive attitude and out of the uncertain times that we still live here in the UK.
Thank you very much, guys. Fiona.
I'm not sure I'm on. I think that was quite risky myself, but it seemed to have been quite successful. What I quite liked as well was the fact that people were actually picking up the phone when we've been sitting here talking about social media, and still people pick up phones, which is quite a nice touch. What do you think you'll be doing next and how do you think, what's the next steps, do you think?
So we had already that. So we extended actually the campaign. Well, I think what we will do next in terms of campaigning and in terms of social media is to continue and increase the visibility of Portugal in this market. However, in terms of strategy, it comes as a global, let's say, attitude from our government in simplifying the UK traveller's life into visiting Portugal. So it is very important for us, this market. We will never forget it, and this is for us the main well, for example, the Algarve in Madeira, for example. So this campaign, although of course it's social media, but it's part of a huge task force created by our government to do not refrain the British travel to and keeping going to Portugal. So we will keep on doing that for sure.
Jen?
Yes, it's nice to see a tourism campaign embrace thorny politics. Often seems like they kind of try and face the other direction. In the results, there was mention of manifesto views. Can you just talk a little bit more about what that means?
So it is only related to the video.
Okay.
So it passes on YouTube, and so the views have been really growing as you see. So it's only the video itself.
So the video is the manifesto?
Yes,
Okay.
it is the manifesto.
Great, thanks.
As someone who lived in Madeira for 4 years and is still tax resident there, it's very, very reassuring to know that Portugal still welcomes British people, because I know there's a lot of people who have made Portugal their home for many years, who have suffered a lot of anxiety because of the uncertainty around Brexit. So great to see you guys embrace that and turn that into an opportunity and reinforce the message. So thank you for that. And what I was curious to know was which channels did you use to target this message? Because I imagine the people that you were targeting were of slightly different, varying ages, slightly older possibly. So which, did you use just social, digital? Was there traditional media?
No, just social, digital only. Okay. But as I mentioned, as the Brelcome campaign, social campaign, is part of a contingency plan created in the Portuguese government. So there were a lot of news and within the travel industry, even setting us as an example to other tourist boards, as the plan that we installed and the law that we published on the 28th of March. So it was an umbrella, and the Brelcome was part of this strategy, global, related to the British traveller.
Okay. And did you use any influencers to activate your message?
No, not really. So I think the word spread really quickly. Okay. Especially because the launch of the manifesto was slightly later than the Instagram and the ads that we used. So I think even the manifesto was really, so when it was launched was really when we start to receive some phone calls of people thanking us, and even many people that live still in the Algarve that were really also very pleased to see our campaign.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that concludes our presentations, 4 presentations. So I'm going to ask the 3 judges now if they would like to go backstage, chat amongst themselves, come up with their winners. In a moment, I'll be asking you to vote as well, but I'd just like to recap briefly on the presentations we had today. So we had Calmac, Caledonian McBrain Ferries, and Uist, Outer Hebrides Tourism. What I liked about that, apart from the results, which were impressive, it was a template a template that they can use to work with other destinations on their ferry route. So you try it, you improve it, you move it on a bit. And also, because if you've had disruption on the ferry services to Uist and to other places in the islands due to weather or ferries going tech, then you are not only rebuilding engagements with the businesses affected, but you're building those bridges for future cooperation as well. So it's a project that works on many, many levels, and a very simple project as well. Michigan, I thought, again, audio, as was pointed out, there's a brilliant way to get to people, podcasts becoming very popular, and the idea of concept being worked so well, I think worked incredibly well for Michigan, and I hope to see more of that in the business. Tourism New Zealand, unbranded, very interesting, using your content to go out there, choosing to be unbranded on this particular product. It may not be everything they do in the future, but gives another option to do so. And organic reach, no money spent on that initial video. And then finally, Portugal. First example, I think, of a pure crisis comms social media response to Brexit. Certainly the first country within the EU to respond to an obvious issue about depending on tourism. And it's not just Portugal, Spain, Greece, Italy are largely dependent on the UK market as well. Thomas Cook going bust doesn't help. So get out there, send that message and be emotive about it. Right, so what you need to do now is to vote for your favourite of those four. Not necessarily the biggest, not necessarily the biggest numbers, but the originality, the passion behind it, the creativity, the original thought. What you need to do is go to slido.com on your smartphones, look for the hashtag WTM19. You're in the global stage, and if we can have the four contenders up on screen, here we are. So you now have the opportunity to vote. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to reflect on what you've heard, not to be swayed by who's in the lead or who's in last. So I want these sympathy votes. I want original creative thinking from you guys. Your vote will count towards the final result. So have a think. You'll see the barometers move up and down. I can see at the moment NZ is a clear favourite. However, you've got time. There's 51 people voted. There must be 150 of you in the hall. So we've got another 100 people yet to cast their votes. It is like election night in training for December the 12th. I'm also going to send round a roving mic because I want to ask some people who voted for each of the particular projects why they thought for it, not because they're from Scotland or Portugal, but because they believed in the project. Okay, so have I got a roving mic available? Can I ask please, first off, for people who have voted for Uist in the Hebrides? Who out there voted for Uist in the Hebrides? Let me see a hand. There's a lady right at the back. I can see you. You put your hand down again, but I can see you. No, it's too late now. So we can get the mic up to the lady at the back of the stool, not the stalls, the posh seats at the back. Okay, we've found you. Can you tell me who you are, where you're from, please?
Hello, does it work? Yeah.
Hi. Welcome.
So my name is Nana and I am from Copenhagen.
So what impressed you about the campaign from Scotland?
What, sorry?
What inspired you to vote for Scotland?
I think also I work in the north where we sometimes have trouble promoting destinations that's not sunny and glamorous and so on. So I really like the idea about using local influences to also to join in and give that perspective. Okay. Because I think sometimes it's so easy to put out the very glamorous images and so on, but really taking in that local perspective and making that a key selling point. I think that was a good thought.
I think that's very sensible and positive remarks for Andrew. It's not huge, it's getting in there, working locally, it's unglamorous, but it's good groundwork for what you can build in the future as well. Thank you very much for that. Well, half the audience that appears have voted for New Zealand, so who would like to suggest why they thought the New Zealand campaign was particularly worth voting for? Who's going to volunteer to be a spokeswoman apart from the New Zealand ladies? Next to the lady at the back in the posh seats with the jelly babies. Can we pass the microphone up there? Thank you. If you can tell me your name, sir, where you're from, and what you thought about the New Zealand vote.
Yeah, hi. My name is Shafiq. I'm from Qatar. Well, what's very impressive about the whole entire campaign is that a lot of celebrities, including the Prime Minister herself, was part of the campaign. It's a pretty expensive campaign though, but what I thought they should have done a little better is probably sue Starbucks and then have Starbucks stores across the world to, use that opportunity to promote New Zealand. Rather, they would have saved a lot of money. But it was a fantastic campaign.
Did you like the humour in it? I thought that was important.
Yes.
Could you get the Crown Prince of Qatar to do something similar?
Well, I think, we are getting ahead pretty close though. We're going to launch a lot of campaigns soon.
Yeah, well, you got the World Cup coming up.
Closer to the World Cup, yeah. In the next 2 years.
Yeah, we look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Where was the third one? It doesn't matter. Michigan. Who liked Michigan? Quite a few of you voted for Michigan. We have a champion down here who would like to tell us why she liked Michigan. Wherever you mic, down here, please. And the judges must be nearly ready to come back, he says, prompting rustling behind the stage. The lady with the brown and white fur, or fleece. Michigan.
I think that...
Sorry, who are you?
Sorry, I'm Tash and I'm from the UK.
Well, welcome, Tash.
I think it's in an age where we're bombarded with visuals, so from Instagram to YouTube and Facebook and everything else, it was really innovative to come with a different perspective. And I think that, all of us do on the train, I know for myself on the train on the way into work, have something in our ears, audio, and why not connect that to a destination instead of looking at pictures.
Thank you for that. What do you do in the travel tourism industry?
I'm an independent travel agent and a travel blogger.
Very good. So you could have this sort of music playing in your travel agency, sounds of the world.
And it'll also go underneath any of our upcoming videos, for sure.
Oh, very good. There you go. Speak to this travel agent, work on music production. And Portugal. This is emotional. Come on, who liked Portugal? Who voted for Portugal? The lady here is keen to say something.
Hi.
Tell me who you are.
I'm Rosie. I'm from Stay the Night. We're a digital marketing agency, so we spend a lot of our time looking at marketing as well. Portugal, I thought they were all really good, but Portugal I thought really tapped into people's emotion around quite a sensitive topic, so it was a risk. But I think it highlighted some of the great things about the destination, but it did it very subtly, and actually you went away with a feeling more than that made you want to visit there, I think.
Were you surprised by those sort of lines about the oldest alliance in the world?
Yeah, definitely.
That's
I visited Portugal a lot, so maybe slightly biased, but I didn't realise that. Yeah,
you need to talk to this lady and get yourself down there. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Now, judges, please, can we have you back on the stage? You must be nearly ready now. We'd like to put your votes together with the votes. I see we've got 126 votes in there, and that's pretty good. Anybody who hasn't voted there, get them in now. So, right, welcome back, judges. Have you had a good debate?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, Fiona, are you the spokesperson for the...
I am. Let me just quickly...
Okay.
So which way?
What I'd like you to do first is just perhaps give us a feel of the discussion about the 4 projects and what points were raised as the positive points, if you like, that were raised by the judges for each of the 4.
Okay. So Portugal, Portugal says Brelcome. Overall, we felt this was quite a bold campaign, and it was tapping into the needs of an emotion, trying to solve a problem for the British market. What we also liked about this was they'd actually gone at this from a very kind of local market challenge, whereas a lot of the other campaigns were global. They'd really seen that the relationship with Brits was the important thing here, and once again tapping into that Brexit problem that we won't go into further today. The Uist campaign, what we really liked about this was the element of involving the local community, crowdsourcing the ideas from the user-generated content, and then what we liked was that they've actually created something out of that and made a very useful thing for any visitor that does come. So, a weatherproof, waterproof map with great places to go and see on the island, which whose ideas have come from that local community.
Good.
On to the Get New Zealand on the Map. We really like this idea, very innovative and once again taking the risk. It was able to bring in some of the top people in New Zealand and activating a kind of pride from every New Zealander. So I think what we liked the most probably in this campaign was the fact that they went out and asked everyone to interact and spot New Zealand, or rather not spot New Zealand on the map, and that they got everybody to actually funnel into that campaign overall. And that we also like the fact that they'd actually really spotlighted the opportunity, which was the fact that in many places, unfortunately, New Zealand isn't on the map.
Good.
And then the Pure Sounds of Michigan. What we really liked about this one was obviously the move away from traditional visual storytelling and capturing something new, and then just channeling that, using channels that have zero cost but giving it a global audience. And really the other thing that we liked about it was they've tapped into that digital docs zeitgeist.
Yep.
So every one of them, and because you've spent some time judging it, we felt had strong elements.
Indeed, they're all very strong merits. Okay, do you have some points you can give me or pass over to me of markings?
These were
number 1,
yeah.
2,
So
3,
we
4.
combined all of us came on this.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4.
Sorry.
That's number 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not
okay. Right. Well, interestingly, we have the judges differ from the audience vote, but what we've done is sort of put 4 points at the top, 3, 2, 1 sort of thing, and the guys have combined their marks together there. I can say, just adding up the points quickly: 4, 3, 2, 1, 7. We've only got 4, 3, 2, 1. We haven't got the 12.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay.
Did you all agree on?
Doing some math.
Yeah. Sorry.
Universal.
Okay. Oh, we had 2 more votes just come in. Who did that? Somebody just walked in the room and been told by Uist to get in here quickly.
2, 2, 8. Yeah. No.
I would say.
Just multiply by 3, right?
Yeah, I would say.
God, you don't get this on Strictly, do you?
Yeah, I would give that 11.
I haven't got my little panel.
Anyway, I don't know. I know we're not doing this right now.
Just multiply them by 3.
Okay.
No, because it's like...
Come on, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
It was right first time.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sorry.
All right, and the votes are in. Okay, so putting the points together on my thing. Oh, more votes for you has just come in. Who did that?
Awesome.
Just 3, 4 for New Zealand, 13. Okay. In reverse order, Portugal, 4th. Thank you very much. You won the hearts of 2/3 of the audience. The guys liked your presentation clearly. And we thank you very much for that. I think it's very emotive, and I wish you very well for next year post-Brexit. Appalling. Uist, those late votes and also the judges propelled you up to 3rd place. Congratulations, Andrew. I think we'll probably see you back in the future when you've done your whole Calmac campaign. But who came second and who came first? The judges didn't exactly have the same thinking as 55% of you, 53% of you in the audience, because they went for Michigan. And so Michigan has outpointed New Zealand by 2 points. So I'd like to say thank you very much, New Zealand. You got the hearts of the public, but these are tough judges you got up here. But I say well done to Michigan. Congratulations, best project of the year. Would you like to come up and say a few words about your mighty achievement? And may I give you a bottle of champagne on behalf of Travel Perspective? The trophy will follow.
Yes.
Michigan, please. How does it feel to win this campaign?
I am so overwhelmed. I thank you so much, judges, for voting for the campaign. It really was an opportunity to extend what we've been doing with the campaign and really highlight those authentic opportunities you have when you come to Michigan. So can't not thank you enough, and for everyone that voted for us online.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Kelly. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Kelly Wolgamott. Thank you to Michigan, to New Zealand, to Scotland, and to Portugal. Thank you for all your time today. That's the end of the seminar. We'll be doing it all again next year. It's the end of the show. Have a great 2020, and we'll see you all again next year. Thank you very much indeed. And to the judges.